Welcome to this edition of Derby Business TV. Today we're at Burnaston, the home of Toyota UK, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity to interview Tony Walker, who is the Deputy Managing Director of the company, learning about his philosophies on leadership, the Toyota way, and some of the great lessons that we can learn for the Derby business community. Hi Tony, and welcome to this edition of Derby Business TV, and many thanks for taking the time out to join us. First up, just tell me a bit about your journey so far with the company.
Well, I joined Toyota in 1990. I was the fourth local employee here at Toyota Manufacturing in the UK. I started as the head of HR, the very first head of HR. Obviously, that's one of the first people you hire. And my job was, first of all, to hire all the people that came after. It started with the other management and with office professionals and then with shop floor leaders. Yeah, it was a big job and a lot of fun. And I feel very proud to have had, what we achieved and also to have had the opportunity to do that in my life.
So you were the fourth employee from the UK?
Yes.
Yeah. What about in the world?
Oh, in the world, I must be several hundred thousand, because Toyota employs many people.
Yes, yeah. Oh, and what's your role now?
I'm the Deputy Managing Director. Obviously, I'm a board member of the company. My functional responsibilities are HR, which I still have, kept for many years, finance, corporate planning, external affairs, and also production control, which is production planning and logistics, those functions. And
it's been sort of 6 years now since the global recession sort of
yes.
took over and really had a massive impact, I guess, very much on manufacturing. How have you had to front up to those challenges over the last few years?
Well, we did have to cope with a sudden reduction in volume, such as we've never seen before. Initially, we were very strong to try and keep all our people because we value our skills and we value our people. And one of our philosophies is long-term employment and stable employment. It's a kind of commitment from the company. So to begin with, we did actions like a pay freeze. We did also short-time working. We called it work share, so that every Friday we were not producing, but one Friday out of two we would train, and the other Friday people would stay at home and we would save the salary. We then did have to, used to have two lines here. We've closed the second line. We did that in summer of 2010. We did have a voluntary redundancy exercise. We are now with the right size. We've turned the corner. We have a strong commitment to manufacturing here, to manufacturing in the UK. We've now invested a cumulative 2.1 billion. But we have a, for sure, long-term commitment and long-term plans.
So we talk about long-term plans. What's your vision for the future?
So the vision we are working on right now is to be the globally best flexible and sustainable plant. Flexible means, and this is the same as having a sustainable business in some ways. Flexible means that we are capable of high volume, but when the volume falls, we can still be profitable. So it means flexibility in our variable, making most of our cost variable, flexibility if we have some fixed cost, flexibility in fixed cost. And sustainable means one sustainable business, but the other is sustainable from an environmental point of view. So we produce we were the first factory anywhere in Europe to create a full hybrid. Full hybrid means it can run as an electric vehicle, as well as petrol. And we also have a huge continuous record of achievement in minimizing our environmental impact. We now use less energy per car, less water per car, we produce less waste per car, we have less VOCs per car since we started production, between 60 and 70% reduction, which is huge. We also manage all our estate here in an environmental way together with the Derbyshire Wildlife Trust. So we are very, very committed. We're going to make a so-called green grid. You can see some of it outside, not just cutting the grass between the buildings, but actually developing them as a habitat which can promote environmental diversity.
Yeah, in fact, I noticed on the way into the building today, you've got some solar panels just outside.
We have. We also, I should have mentioned that, we also have the largest solar installation on a manufacturing site anywhere in the UK. We have 17,000 panels. and on a day like today, it's producing 6-7% of our entire energy needs. It's enough to make 8,000 cars a year,
Wow.
just from the electricity generated from the solar panels.
I'd like to turn a bit more now to the whole core philosophy of Toyota UK. Can you just tell me a bit about why it's so important and what the core philosophy is?
Well, I think the core philosophy of a company drives the way we react day after day to events that come along, and it also drives the way we manage our investment decisions, and it drives the way we grow the business as well. If I talk about the very high level, I think we can summarize it in two ways. One is customer first, and the second is always a better way.
Right.
So whatever we do, we should think of the customer first, not employee first, customer first. And whatever we do, we can always do better. There will always be some problem or some concern or some issue which we can improve. And I think those are the two underlying cultural core philosophies.
And I had the pleasure of meeting up with you a few weeks ago when you did a keynote to some of the maybe smaller businesses around Derby. If you'd be able to talk to us about the Toyota way and why that informs so much about what you do.
Okay. Well, the Toyota way has two basic pillars. One is called continuous improvement, and the other is called respect for people. And then there are 5 elements. Under continuous improvement, there is challenge, there is Kaizen, which is continuous improvement, and there's something called Genchi Genbutsu, which is go and see for yourself. And under respect for people, there's respect itself, and there's teamwork. And I ought to say that this was not documented for many, many years, and it was just a sort of innate, intuitive knowledge which people who worked in Toyota had picked up. But in 2001, it was documented, and I had the privilege to be involved in a small way in inputting to that documenting of this Toyota way. Challenge means that we always set a challenging objective which is a bit more than we can actually achieve, but not too much more so that it becomes overwhelming. And this is in everything. This is at the company level, this is at the global level, and this is at the individual level when it comes to setting objectives. And one little anecdote I always quote to try and crystallize it and make it concrete is, if at the end of the year somebody has achieved, particularly a senior person has achieved all their objectives, we will criticize their boss for making the objectives too easy. If you can do all of them, there wasn't enough challenge. Of course, you should be able to do some of them, and we actually moderate the objective setting. So we sit together in groups with people of a certain level and looking at the objectives of the people of a more junior level, and if they're not challenging enough, we ask them to be rewritten. So we make objectives challenging. And myself, I have to send my objectives to Toyota Motor Europe. They're reviewed, and if they're not challenging enough, they're sent back to me to be rewritten. Yeah. So I think that captures the essence of that. And Kaizen means always finding some improvement. So a little anecdote to quote to help about that. When I was in Brussels, I had a boss who said to me, "If you don't have a problem, you are a problem." And the reason for that is this is a very big business. It's an engineering-based business. There must always be problems. And the only problem is if management and if all the staff who work here can't find them. Yeah. That's the problem. Because first of all, we're too complacent. And secondly, we're not trying to improve. Yeah. And thirdly, we're not fixing things. So one of the greatest parts of the job here at Toyota is for everything we do, we try and set a standard. In office, it can be a kind of operating procedure. On the shop floor, it's standardized work down to the movements and the individual items of the job, the individual elements of the job. If once we've done that, the key issue, once we've standardized, is to find the abnormality and to track the abnormality and move to eliminate the abnormality. And that's a key strength of Toyota. And then about Genchi Genbutsu, even senior management, we're not just interested in strategy. We're interested in knowing the details. And when our top management come here, yesterday, the chief executive of Toyota in Europe came here, and most of the time, to review the plant, he spent walking around the shop floor. And we explained concrete things on the shop floor. He's not so interested in receiving reports in the office. Of course, we have to make some short reports in the office. But he's not so interested in that. He's interested in understanding for himself. And then that is the first pillar. So if I summarize it, you can't achieve all your objectives, you've always got problems, and your boss probably knows more details about your job than yourself. Then we need the other pillar of the Toyota way, which is respect for the people. So when somebody comes with a problem, we're not frustrated. We love problems. We would like to have them do that. And we respect the individual. We don't complain to the individual. We say, great, problem is a great opportunity for us all to improve. And it is. Problems are kind of precious opportunities. And teamwork is also, we tackle the problems together. We're not, if you find a problem, it doesn't mean you'll have a whole weight on your own shoulders. We will tackle the problems together. And we also treat problems as a development opportunity. So on purpose, we will often allocate resolution of problems to a team or a group that doesn't have so much experience of that problem, because through that, they will learn. And that I think is, that in a summary, is the Toyota way.
And you clearly put a lot of stall about people and developing people around the organisation. And yet for so many companies, they say people are our greatest asset. What sets your philosophy apart then? What are you doing to really nurture people through Toyota?
I think, first of all, it does start with a management belief. So we see management as coaches, and the main role of management is to coach the staff that they're responsible for. And the reason we develop people goes back to the sort of basics of the company. The founder of the company said nothing gets started till people do things. So it is people that actually make our business work. Well, we have great engineering, we have great facilities, we think we have the best processes, the Toyota production system, lean manufacturing, just in time, all those things. They are great things, but it's actually people that are doing all those things. People are operating them. And we, therefore, developing people is critical. We practically have a lot of arrangements in place. We do have, of course, off-the-job courses. We have graduate training programs, maintenance apprenticeships, production apprenticeships. We also have a whole lifelong learning approach. So we make transparent what you need to do in order to get the capability, in order to get a good appraisal result, and in order to get promoted. And most people would like to know how to do a good job. Most people want to do a good job. 9% of people want to do a good job. Maybe 100% of people want to do a good job. And by clarifying what you need to do and what you need to do to get promoted as well, I think that is the first thing. And then, so there are clear, this is the practical bit of HR really, that there are clear competencies for each level, each grade in the company, each role in the company. How to get good at those competencies is through training and through development on the job is clear. Whenever we do off-the-job training courses, by the way, there is always an on-the-job part that you have to deliver to complete the course. And our main focus is on-the-job development, coaching by the boss. And there the key issue is allocation of task. We need to allocate tasks which are just beyond the person's current ability, which are something they're interested in doing, and something which needs doing. And if you can hit that sweet spot where you get those three things, it's very developing for people.
So stretching people, maybe outside this comfort zone, is one of the reasons you're getting peak performance.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, I think one of the challenges, certainly in the UK, there's a lot of pressure on the short-termism for getting results. But I'm struck actually at Toyota, you've got more of a longer-term view in terms of around it. And I think one of the points that stuck out for me when I heard you speak a few weeks ago was around executive patience, which as a chuckle. But I think that summed up a lot of the way that you think differently about the world, the challenges, and whatever. Can you explain a bit more about how you see sort of the longer term thinking?
Well, first of all, I think generally in manufacturing, you've got to have a longer term view, because for setting up big factories like this, you need to make a huge investment up front, and the result comes steadily over many, many years. And that's true of all manufacturing industry and engineering industry. But yes, I think on top of that, Toyota is taking a very long-term view. And so, for example, we have struggled in this plant and in Europe to be profitable since 2007. And in fact, we just turned the corner in the last fiscal year. But the profitability is very, very thin. But we are persisting. We're putting in new investment. We're bringing out new models. And we have to do that. It's the only way to compete.
Thinking about leadership now, I'm really interested in terms of your thoughts on leadership, what makes effective leadership, and actually how you lead yourself.
That's I think many different things can make effective leadership.
Yeah.
And certainly, I think that the fundamental thing, which is always common, is you have to have passion and belief in what you're doing. And you have to be kind of true to yourself. Yeah. People can see through you if you're not. Then after that, I think many different styles can work. Here in Toyota, it's a very planned, step-by-step, data-based style. So we, in that sense, we're very methodical. We may not have a lot of... some people would accuse us of being slow in decision-making. And some people would accuse us of lacking flair or something like that. And partly, I understand completely where that comes from. And we're always conscious ourselves. We have to speed up. We have to show, always allow creativity and find the place for creativity. But we're a very measured, I would like to say reasonable, balanced, steady, consistent management. And one thing for sure, we try not to change direction. Once we set a long-term vision, we have a 2020 vision, we try to move forward to it steadily, not lots of changing of direction. And once we decide something, we try to achieve it quickly. So that sort of consistent, every year's objectives is not so far different from the last one. They're just a development, and we're going forward steadily, not deciding fast and changing direction in implementation, deciding more steadily, but implementing consistently in a straightforward direction. I think those are the main features of leadership in Toyota.
And what would you describe as your best business decision of all time?
Yeah, that is a very difficult question. In fact, I think all big decisions in Toyota are taken as part of a team. It's back to teamwork is one of our principal 5 elements of the Toyota way. And so we are very, very careful to make decisions in line with our problem-solving approach, which is anyway gather a lot of data. Many decisions just fall out. If you collect the correct benchmark information, you correct the data as it really is about the current situation, a lot of decisions actually just fall out of the data, become obvious. There are big decisions which have to be made, and I think the very top management of Toyota is bravely doing that sort of thing. 2 examples in product. One was the RAV4 created the entire SUV sector. Another example was the Prius hybrid has created the entire hybrid sector. So these were visionary decisions made at the very, very top of the company, not made by me at all, not at all. So, I mean, the things I've been very proud to be part of deciding is the way we've operated and we've built mutual trust and respect between workforce and management here, the way we've done it 3 ways with the union and developed a good relationship there, the procedures and processes we have to do that. I've been very proud of being a part of that. And the way we focus on developing people, I've been very proud to be a part of that. And I think those things in many ways define Toyota Manufacturing UK.
So I guess there's many small businesses out there right now thinking there's no way it can ever be like a Toyota. Yet there are so many great learnings that from a big business like a small business can take. What would you suggest those would be?
Well, I think the basic principles are always have a challenge, always try and set yourself something to do a bit beyond what you think you can. Always look for improvement, don't be satisfied with the way things are today. Always take care of the detail, make sure you know the basic facts, don't just think you can skim along on the surface. Always, even in small business, if you're employing people, try to develop them. And beyond all that, have some sort of long-term vision something you would like to be as a company or as a business, something you would like to achieve, and work steadily for that. Don't do lots of changes of direction. Of course you've got to respond, of course at times you've got to be a bit nimble, but find what you're trying to do and keep going for it. I mean, that's a guy who's always worked in a large company.
Yeah.
So, but if you ask me, I can imagine those things could be very useful.
That's great advice. Thanks very much. I just want to finish up. Just one final question. We're here in Derby, and for you, just why is Derby such a great place to do business?
Yeah, there's several reasons. One, I think Derby has a great tradition of engineering and manufacturing. People are like and aspire to work in engineering and manufacturing. When children are wondering what they should do in life, their parents will be proud and pleased if they work in engineering and manufacturing. I think this also has the area has a great tradition of common sense, practical working relationships, kind of partnership between the business, the people that work in the business. I think people here understand a successful business is successful for the people that work in it. Yeah. We have that sort of common sense, partnership, consensus approach is naturally accepted around here. It's also a great environment to live. Derby itself is a great city these days. It's a huge improvement to the city centre over the years, and you're very close to the wonderful Peak District, great places to relax and enjoy yourself when you're off work. And I also think there's a good relationship in Derby between the private sector and local government and the public sector. And I think that's not true everywhere. And this is a very sympathetic environment in which to manufacture and which to develop your business and have your business prosper. So I think Derby has a lot going for it. It's also very together. I think the city's kind of opinion leaders in the city have lots of opportunities to meet and talk with one another, and it's a very together city, I think, as well.
Well, Tony, many thanks for taking the time out to join us today. It's been an absolute pleasure hearing your story, your philosophies. I think there's so much that we can all learn about running a great company. I think we're privileged actually to have one of the world's leading automotive manufacturing companies here in Derby. And it's no surprise that the focus that you've got on developing people, Kaizen, continuous improvement, and being the very best is what makes you such an enduring, great company. So thanks again.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it.